Welcome to this webinar. My name is Mr. GrantForward. First name Grant, last name Forward. My mission today is to show you how GrantForward can make your life easier, can make your job of helping your researchers on your campus find grants, so that you fulfill your job responsibility with GrantForward. So this is our webinar for administrators. I will show you how to find grants because your faculty members, your researchers, even students will be asking you to find grants. After finding grants, I will show you how you can share grants, which means that you send grants to some people who care, people who may be interested in this grant opportunity, and disseminate, which means that you do broadcasting of grants, maybe through a newsletter, for example. Okay, so I have some simple slides just to set the stage and make the organization of this webinar clear. You'll be entirely demo driven. So today, I assume you are an administrator or you are a grant specialist or a research development expert, wherever you are. Your mission is to promote research, get funding for your campus. Okay, so if you are an administrator, when you log into GrantForward, I have logged in, you will see administrator console here. If you have not seen this, it means your status have not been set right. You should contact your administrator. You can click on your name here to see that the permission type is administrator. That's why I am seeing this administrator console here. Otherwise, other end user will just be seeing other tab. Okay, so today's talk is for administrators. You will learn what is GrantForward, just a reminder, a refresh, because I know many of you are old friends having been working with us for a long time. I would like to remind you what GrantForward is. Then I will talk about our scenario. Our webinar is a scenario driven. Okay, in the real world, there are a lot of scenarios we encounter every day. I'm sure you will feel familiar with this one. Then we'll go through 3 use cases. I'm not going to show you function by function, button by button. No, I'm going to show you 3 use cases. You will be using GrantForward to do finding grants. In other words, you do grant search, sharing grant, you manage users who will be your audience and share your grant list to them. And finally, disseminate grant, which means that you will be using some very powerful mechanism to make sure that the grant you found, or the grants that GrantForward find, will reach a mass, a big number of your campus members. Okay, so why is GrantForward? So to set the stage, GrantForward in short. People ask me, why is GrantForward in the webinar the other day with a university, a big university? They asked me to summarize GrantForward in 3 bullets. I think these are the 3 bullets I will come up with. In short, it's not only just a powerful grant search. So number 1, it's not only powerful, it's also pretty easy to use and equally important, very affordable. We came from University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. It was originally developed at our university system in the library. So we are very aware of how important a grant search tool not only has to be powerful, okay, but also easy to use and affordable. I will show you the interface, how you use that with ease, okay? And not only GrantForward is much more than grants. And it has more grants. What do we mean by that? If you come to GrantForward, so first, GrantForward has a lot more grants. So here, only for the active grants, open and continuous, not even counting closed, which means expired. There are 24,000 grants here, active grants. So we have done benchmark. If you are interested, you can share with you documents comparing to other alternative solutions. We are in general 5 to 10 times more grants, which is very important as I will show you. Okay. And secondly, it's much more than grants. We also support award funded project. If your faculty member asks you, I look at this big data grant that you show me, but what topics are fundable, what have they been funding, then you should come to award search. These are funded projects, which means awards they have been made. So they are altogether 1.3 million, one followed by 6 digits. Funded project here. For each project, you can click on the detail, read about the PI information, the other information, and the abstract. Okay, this is a very useful tool for researchers to get informed about who has been getting funding, what topics, and what direction is hot, and so on. GrantForward also give you A to Z directory of sponsors. This is how you can tell us, maybe your favorite sponsors are not on the list. And then you tell us, we will be adding them in 2-3 days. I believe this is our little secret of why we have so much better grant coverage. GrantForward is also a researcher database. If you have not asked your faculty members or students to create their profiles, or if you have not created a profile, you should do that. This is one point I want to cover today. Finally, GrantForward also provides the pre-solicitation, the announcement even before grant programs are released. This is again due to the input of our friends at various universities. So GrantForward is much more than just grants. It has more grants and it has more than grants, from funded project to the announcement before grant programs, to the sponsor, to researchers. The third point, GrantForward is not just search. Your faculty members will receive recommendations without their having to visit GrantForward. This is one kind of personalized newsletter I want to introduce today. Secondly, as you may be more concerned of, GrantForward also give you very strong tools for dissemination to send grants to mass faculty members, to share, to tell them about grant funding news. And this is in fact our main purpose today. Okay, so this is a small refresher about what GrantForward is. Now let's get into our scenario. As I said, okay, our demo will be scenario driven. Now this is a scenario. This scenario has a name called the middle age crisis. Okay, so imagine there is this middle-aged professor maybe, okay, he's in computer science. He has been doing research, publishing a lot, but now it's middle age. He is 45 or she is 45. She comes to ask you, he wants to do something with impact because he has been doing research for a while, having written so many papers about algorithms, about models. Now he wants to do something with impact. It means that he wants to go beyond his immediate technical focus. He wants to do something not just about computers, but something that matters. Well, for our purpose today, I think COVID-19 matters. Okay, that's why we get to stay home, okay, with our family. Okay, so he wants to do something not just about computer science, but about life sciences as well. That's our search scenario. And now he came to you, or she came to you to ask, find me some grants. I need money to move my research forward. That's our scenario. So perhaps this sounds familiar. It's our job as a grant specialist. We are providing guidance to the funding landscape. So the first step, you need to find the grants. Okay, so now you will come to GrantForward. And I will now first show you, before you can help them, you have to find grants, or you have to show them how to use GrantForward, okay, to find grants. This is the reason why most people come to GrantForward. So I will walk you through these couple bullets, basically show you a quick review of how you can find grants with our scenario. This basically is following our researcher welcome guide, the first document that we send to our subscribing institution to get their faculty members, users started. I'm going to show you on the bullet of how to do a simple keyword search, how to view the search result, how to add more advanced filters, and how to build your grant list by tagging grants, and save the grant search if you like it, okay, and receive alerts. So let's get started, okay? So this is the first scenario, the first use case of finding grants. Now, this faculty member came to you. He has been doing computer science, but he is kind of tired of computer science itself. He wants to do something beyond computer science in life sciences by using computer. So When we search for grants, remember, each grant, a funding program, often has a relatively broad scope. So we start with broad keywords such as life sciences. Okay, so I should go to grant search. So GrantForward is very rich. It has grants, it has awards, it has pre-solicitation. Okay, so perhaps now to search grant, I come to grant here, and there are two ways, search and receive recommendation. I will show you how to receive grant recommendation. Okay, so this recommendation is later. So now let me show you how to search grant. So now you see that without any search condition, only the default, the filter open and continuous. Open means having specific deadline that is in the future active, such as January 31st next year. Continuous means on a rolling basis, first come, first reviewed, okay? Or closed, we know grants come in cycles. A grant that expire in 2021, January 8th, may come up again next January. So that's why we also have closed, but you can control that. So the default is only the active grants. There are about 24,000 active grants. Now, when we search, we start with relatively broad keywords. So I will use life sciences. I do a search, I get a 4,000 result. If you are using an alternative search engine, you will get something like, well, maybe 500, 600. Okay, you may feel overwhelmed why there are so many grants. Don't worry, I always tell our grant specialist friends, there is never too much money, as we all know. As I start to add more keywords or filters, the number will soon be down, okay? So now I use this keyword. I will show you how to add more keywords later to tailor to his computer science area. But now let's look at each grant. Each grant gives you a quick summary, such as this scholarship. Okay, it has this source. You can click on this to view the source information. Keywords are highlighted, life sciences mentioned together with medical sciences. So you know exactly why this grant is considered matching life sciences. Okay, then it has a deadline. Of course, deadline is important. Our work is all driven by deadline. Okay, this is due very soon in a month. Okay, amount, the deadline, if there are more deadlines, eligibility, who can submit and how to submit. Okay, and then it also reminds you it has been reviewed or it's been viewed 13 days ago. When you are working with a faculty member, asking you to find this grant, that grant, you might be repeatedly looking for grants with similar keywords, maybe life sciences, maybe medical science. Okay, then you will see some similar grants. It's good to be reminded that you have looked at this. Okay, you can even exclude it if you decide that this is not relevant, or well, I have already shortlisted it. I don't need to bother to look at it again. Okay, so I can exclude it. But don't worry, you can always come to your history. Look at the grant you have viewed. The grant you have excluded, this one I just excluded. I can resurrect it. I can revoke it. Now I come back to my grant search. It's back again. Okay, so with this, you will see clearly what grants you have experienced in GrantForward. These are all features that we have built just because of feedback from all of you. Okay, so now I want to also show you how you can add more filters. Okay, so now I can click on this. I say this professor is expanding to life sciences with the angle of computer, with the angle of social media. He's doing social media data, with the angle of patient communication. Okay, we know that this professor has some high school experience that make him decide he didn't want to do anything about chemistry. Okay, high school nightmare. So we do this, we do a search. Now you see the grant reduced to 3,000. 1/4 is gone because of our high school experience. Okay, but otherwise you see that grants are now ordered. So it still are about life sciences, but now it's social media, computational science, computing, communication, social media, social sciences. So without removing grants because of your specific keywords, Now, by adding this any, okay, now you realize that the keywords we started with, they were actually all of the keywords. And the keywords we added, these are called any, the more, the better, or none, negation. If you had the library science background, you may have heard something called the Boolean logic and or not. That's way too cryptic. Not many Americans know the difference between and or. So GrantForward simply use all, any, none. People understand this. It's not the super, arbitrary powerful, but it's sufficiently powerful. Okay, so now I have used all these keywords. And next step, you want to add more filters. So for example, you look at this training program, okay, or maybe let me remove some keyword to show you some example. Scholarship, training. So this Ford professor is already middle-aged. He doesn't care about scholarship. He doesn't care about training. Okay, so now grant type. So these filters are all very conveniently arranged in the left. So when we don't need them, they are not scary at all. But now we need them, they are very handy. So now I will say, I don't want the fellowship. Fellowship is gone. Okay, I don't want the internship. I want to emphasize research project. Each grant has a classification, often multiple classification. So if I do minus, a grant that has that classification will be gone. If I do plus, a grant that has this type will be promoted to the top. So now I don't care about, I don't want the training. I don't care about, I don't want the postdoc. So now you see grant has reduced to 1,000, only 1/4. We are lucky to start with something big. So now you want your faculty member, the middle-aged guy, to be ambitious. He only can look at grants that are sizable, more than 500,000. Okay, 900 grants now. You want this faculty to be busy in the summer. He's not supposed to have summer vacation. So you are looking at grants that will be due. Beginning of summer, let's assume that's June 1st. And to the end of summer, in Illinois, we have a long summer. So let's say August 31st. Okay, so now in these 3 months, okay, I have 290. Okay, so now there are many other filters you can use. For example, you can use citizenship. Okay, you can use this list of citizenship to select. You can also tailor this to your applicant type, such as some common spatial types that are identified in grants. Undergraduate, I don't want. Graduate, I don't want. So this is senior faculty, not a really early career investigator. Maybe consider as senior researcher. Okay, so now these grants will be ranked, okay, and also grants that are for other type of applicants will be gone. So we get 100 grant here. Okay, so this is how you use search. I want to show you now how you can build your grant list. Okay, oh no, let me come back to this later. Let me show you one way you can actually be notified about grants. So now we learned this from our users, our grant specialist friends. I reset everything to default. I come to sponsor. I add some national science, let's say National Science Foundation. I may also add American Dental Association. I also get the Gates Melinda Foundation because they are in the news, so we add them. So we see our friends added the 20, 30 sponsors without any keywords. They do a search, they get the 359. So now they want to be notified when there are new grants coming from these sponsors, or in general, new grants that match your search criteria. So we will save a search. We say this is grants for dental science. So I'm just making up a name so I will remember. I say Monday, save. So now next Monday, May 17th, and every Monday afterwards, I will be notified when there are new grants. So here, this is a use case that we are specifically monitoring new grants coming from our favorite sponsors. And let me show you how this will come to your inbox. So this is called GrantForward alert service. This is for your safe search. It says that the dear user, you have one safe search called the biochemistry, and these are the matching grants. So you can actually tell your faculty friend, user, to set up such a safe search, or you can set up one for him, for her, okay, or set up for yourself. If you are working with multiple groups of faculty, you can set up one safe search. Well, any query, any search condition combination can become a safe search, and then you will be notified of the new result. You can always come to the Safe Search tab here. Click on here, you will see my Safe Search. Okay, the one I have just set is grants for dental science. Okay, so you can set up as many safe searches as you wish. Okay, so now I have shown you finding grants. Next, I want to show you how to share grants. You have found grants. To share grants, I want to continue my search. I want to continue my search here. First, I want to build a grant list. I look at this grant. I say, I like this one. Okay, I add it to Professor Hawks. These are my list. We call it tagging. Tag your grant. So I add these to Professor Hawks. Okay, so this grant goes to the list of Professor Hawks. He is the guy I'm working with. Or I say, I like this one. I want this one for my June newsletter. I'm going to create a newsletter later. So now I'm compiling the grants. So now I save this. I select a nice color. So this grant, I've added it. You can look at each grant. You can add them to your list. Add to new June newsletter. Oh, I didn't save it. Oh, here already have this. Okay, good. So I can add more June newsletter. Okay, so now I'm adding some grant. So now you can come here to review your grant list. Okay, so I have so many grants list. So June newsletter is the list I just built. I also have grants for Professor Hawks. Okay, also for my main webinar. Okay, so these lists are handpicked by you. This will be something you are going to share. So this is the first step. You tag grants. Next step, okay, you want to manage users. Why do you manage users? Because your grants need an audience to be shared to. So I'm coming to my administrator console. Administrator console is the tab. Okay, administrator console here is the tab that only when you log in as administrator, you will see this tab. The homepage here will show you the quick overview of the usage. We know you care about GrantForward usage at your campus. We care about that too, so we put this up front. You can see that. If you do not see the usage as strong as you wish it to be, you should contact us. We have a lot of good recipe that works to really promote the usage. For example, you should link GrantForward from your research development office or from your sponsor program. You shouldn't just link to GrantForward from your library A to Z electronic resources. That wouldn't work because A to Z is overwhelming. You should put GrantForward link to where people are looking for grants, which means your website. Okay, but I'm not going to introduce this administrator console entirely. I'm just going to talk about user management and the grant delivery. User management, you can manage individual users. We all know about this, nothing special, but you can manage institutional units. Your university is big. Even a medium-sized institution have tens, hundreds of departments or offices. So you can define, let GrantForward know, or you can send us your organization chart. So we'll know that you have a life science, you have an animal sciences department, you have an anthropology, you have an architecture. So later you will be able to disseminate grants, such as a newsletter, to a whole department such as anthropology or animal sciences. So you can define them. Okay, so this is institutional units. I've already created this chart. You can use this, to view the full hierarchy or to add more units. Now you can also manage custom groups. I've already a few groups. These are ad hoc special interest group. Imagine this group of computer science faculty came to you. They want to do something have impact. That's called this called the impact to be. Oh no, that's called the middle age. We call it middle age crisis group. They want to look something with impact. Okay, so now I save this. Okay, so now I have this. I can add members. Okay, so these are a group of, so John is, well, I do have someone called John. I want someone Smith. Okay, I want someone called Mary. Okay, so you can add as many interested faculty members, students as you wish. These are ad hoc specialized group. They may come from different departments. So, so I can now save it. What happened? Let me add more. Ah, I need to click on this. Okay, so now I have created this group with 3 members. This will be convenient later on. I want to disseminate grant. I want to share grant to them. So now I want to do grant delivery. I can come to the handpick grant. I want to share grants with them. So I say I want to share a list of grants. I say I want to share this, the list called they say the biology list. Okay, or maybe let's share the June COVID-19 list. So save and add recipient. Okay, so now you can share this to the entire institution. This is a serious matter. You want to think twice. Or specific units, I can share, for example, earlier I mentioned, you can share this to maybe the biology department. Okay, so you can add it. Or you can share these to specific groups. So we want our group, the middle age group, we just added. Okay, so now this has been shared to this group that you have created, this specific list. So now when these users who are on this list, when they log into their account, when they log into their accounts, they will see the list you shared to them. Okay, and they will also receive an email, which is a future capability, currently not here yet, but pretty easy to add. They will also receive an email immediately about the grants you have shared to them. Okay, so of course, if you want, there is also another way you can come to the tag list here. For each list, you can also export it, okay, such as a PDF file. So this is another way to share. You can get a list of grants in PDF or in this Excel file, CSV, you can choose that. Then you can share by email, that's also possible. So there are many different ways. Okay, so now I've talked about sharing grants. I show you how to manage user, group, and departments. I also show you how you can share a list to specific departments or groups or individuals. Now I want to come to the last item I want to talk about today. Okay, I will save a lot of time for your question and feedback. So I want to talk about disseminating grants. This again is a unique feature at the GrantForward. We have been inspired by the feedback from grant specialists. We feel this is very important. How do we disseminate grants? I would say newsletter. That's the only answer. However, the answer comes in 2 flavors. The first newsletter is called a recommendation. Okay, I will show you how individual researchers can create a profile to receive recommendations. In a way, it's like an individualized newsletter. Okay, so I will show you maybe through my example here. This is the first variant of a newsletter. It's individualized. It says, dear user, this is a recommendation for you. Okay, and then a list of grants. Look very much like the newsletter you compile weekly or monthly from your office. But do you see one difference? That one difference is, first, it says dear user. It's not just dear entire university or dear computer science department. Secondly, it has a lot of keywords highlighted like a database. I should enlarge the font. Social networking, social network, software. We know we are working with a computer professor. So these keywords may not make a lot of sense to us, but these are keywords that are very important, dear to the heart of this researcher. With a newsletter with keywords highlighted like this researcher will know that this newsletter is tailored to his research interest, and therefore he will not immediately click on the delete button. So this is the first kind of newsletter, individualized. We call them recommendation. So let me show you how you can make your members receive such a newsletter automatically without having your intervention, having your, your hard work to do that. You just need to tell them to create a profile. Or you can tell us, you can tell GrantForward to create a lot of profile for you if you have something like this, say, faculty directory online. If you have faculty information online, we'll be very happy to take that as our input to create a lot of profiles for you. Okay, but now let me show you what a profile looks like. This is the recommendation. Oh no, I want to show you the profile, not recommendation. I've already shown you the recommendation in emails. So let me come to the researcher tab. Okay, so you can view researcher within your institution. Everyone in the same institution can view each other's profile. However, you can also look at other institutions. These are profiles that are set to public. The default is private. But if researchers choose to set it to public, everyone can view the profile. This is good for finding experts, finding collaborators. We actually have university customers who use our profile system as a way of their online expert website, because the information here is very rich. So let me show you some example. Okay, so now, for example, let's look at this. So in this example, director of grant initiative, she doesn't do research. So she entered keywords. She doesn't have publication. And these keywords are the kind of funding she is interested in, okay? Let's look at more. So a professor at the University of Oklahoma, and looking at the keywords, magnetic nanoparticles, energy harvesting, totally nonsense to all of us, but these keywords are all dear to her heart. And she has been doing research from 2000 to 2021. We can look at 10 years ago. This was the kind of thing she did earlier, but slightly different, okay? The kind of thing when she was a graduate student, okay? GrantForward knew about all these keywords in this case because of her uploading CV to GrantForward to allow GrantForward to identify her research interest through her scholarly work. So this is one way. Just upload the CV, very easy. Every scholar, everyone has a resume, has a CV. This is an example, okay? The third case, so here, this is another faculty at the Old Dominion University, and his research is on machine learning, is on 5G, okay, important cybersecurity. He has been doing research from 2003 to 2021, and he has 100 publications. In this case, he did not specify the keywords. He did not upload the CV, but he just tell GrantForward where to find his publication at this online website. Okay, so the owner of this account, his profile was found on his publication page. In this example, is his personal homepage. So GrantForward can create the profiles either from a CV that is uploaded, a PDF file, or an online website like this, or his personal homepage. Okay, or you can simply specify the keywords, which is important for research you want to get into. Okay, so for example, in these researchers, in the account owner of this researcher actually, so here are the 3 ways I showed you earlier. Specify publication page, upload the CV, and the manual input. Even this one may feel scary. No, it's only scary if you are using other grant search. Okay, you have to enter your publication one by one and field by field. In this case, even when we say manual input, it really just means like a copy and a paste. We should really change this into copy and paste, like this. You copy and paste. For example, this Professor Smith came to talk to you. He wants you to find grants related to his research. You can simply copy and paste his grant, his scholarly work, like this. GrantForward will take care of the rest. Okay, so here this researcher used his personal homepage, and you can add more keywords. You can control the keywords. For example, you may want to get into a new research area called COVID-19. You have not been doing research about COVID-19 before 2019, but now, well, you know this is important. You did not know about this keyword. So you will enter new keywords that you want to get into. Okay, you will also, you can also remove keywords that you decide you are not doing anymore. So you have full control. It's pretty transparent and intuitive. So with this, we are able to build rich profile. Okay, so and in the end, you set profile to be public or the default is private. Then you set your recommendation frequency to be monthly, weekly, or every day 8 o'clock if you really need grants. Okay, so that's it. With this, the end result is that your researcher will be receiving a grant notification in the form of recommendation that the entire list of grants are tailored to his research interest with very convincingly and intuitively keywords highlighted so that he knew exactly why each grant is recommended to him. Even though he is not actively looking for grants, he will be informed, he will be connected to the research funding landscape. He might actually be motivated to write more grants, which is all we want, or he may actually shape his research direction accordingly. This is the first kind of newsletter. The system generates based on your ability to ask your researchers or yourself to spend 5 minutes to create a profile. And as I said, we can also create the profile automatically with minimal extra charge, very reasonable, from your online faculty directory. Okay, so that's the first way, but you may care more about the second way. The second way is newsletter. Okay, so newsletter coming from your office, and I want to show you maybe concrete example. So I come to my university inbox. Okay, so I'm going to my proposal folder. Okay, so I'm showing you some example that about newsletter coming from your grant office. Okay, so this may look familiar to you. And a typical faculty in average receives 3-4 newsletters look like this, coming from grant office at the whole university or at the College of Engineering, okay, or at the sponsor program office, and often in multiple series. This is called the Office of Research newsletter. Okay, it's basically a list of grants. And this is another, it's called the Funding Opportunity List, another series. This is weekly. And we even have something called, the other day I found something interesting, this Spring 2021 funding. Now they are going to compile Summer 2021. They don't want you to have a break. They do this weekly, monthly, daily, and seasonally. Okay, so now just from this Office of Research in the College of Engineering, there are 3 series. We often spend a lot of time to handpick such grants, prepare such newsletter, make sure they format right. This is a huge burden. Today, no other grant solution allow you to prepare, customize multiple series of newsletter. That's what GrantForward want to help you to do. And this is also the last bullet I want to show today about how do I create this second kind of newsletter in addition to the individualized recommendation. I want to show you how this newsletter can disseminate grant. Okay, so I come back to GrantForward here. So I click on this administrator console. I come to newsletter. When I want to create a newsletter, I start with series. Okay, so I first create a series. A series such as spring series, quarterly, okay, or weekly series. So I'm going to create, it's called the Office of Research Seasonal Greeting. Just a friendly name to disguise this actually serious grant matter. Okay, subject, let's just copy this seasonal greeting from Office of Research. And you can add a variable saying this is, let's say, an year, 2021, and a month, maybe month. When it shows up, it will be something like 2021, June, 2021, July. Now you want to prepare a template you can load from our gallery. So I'm going to load this second boilerplate. There are more. Okay, you see this actually modeled after what we have seen from our university. Copyright, okay, load. So now this is the template. I can customize it. Let me first customize this. GrantForward is the first grant service that don't care about you use our logo. So you will change the logo to yours. Okay, newsletter, give you a name called the seasonal greeting. Okay, so now everything else looks good. I like it. You can also define the format your grant will show up. So for example, in the example I showed you earlier, each grant has an amount, has a duration, has a due date, has an URL for more detail. So this is what we mean by grant format. So you can define all these formats such as deadline, amount. There are more things. You can add maybe sponsor. Okay, you can add the description. Okay, it's all here. Then you can save it. So now you have already created a series. Let's now create a newsletter. So a specific newsletter I'm going to create. I say I want to create from my series of seasonal greeting. This was how we just created. So now this title subject was how we just filled in earlier, and everything looked familiar, including the logo we just customized. Okay, so now because this is for summer, let me add a summer here. So I can always add something more. I want to emphasize summer. Okay, very hot. Okay, just call it summer seasonal greeting. Now these are, you can fill in your text such as announcement, we have a new directory of research, or we have a new grant specialist who just joined us, news. Then you can start to add grants. Simply point your cursor to where you want to add grant. Then you select grant list. Say this is for June newsletter. Remember, we just built this list. I loaded here. So the June newsletter has been inserted, including this Gates Foundation grant. I want to add more. I want to add another list called, let's say, Professor Hugs. So now I've added all these. You can remove some grant. Just highlight it, select, remove, or you can tailor anything. Now I can preview it. This is how our grant will look like, how our newsletter. You see, the subject title has been replaced, the variable to 2021 May. Okay, yes, it said now summer seasonal greeting with UIUC, with your college logo, with the grant you have inserted. This is just for your preview. You can close it, you can keep editing. Okay, when you are happy, you can save newsletter and send it. Okay, I'm not going to send it now. Okay, so now, coming here. So for each newsletter that you have sent out, you can see the sending log when it was sent. This has not been published yet, or this has been published or not been published. And then if user give you feedback, each newsletter, there will be a useful, not useful. If user care to give you feedback, you will see them here. We are also adding more statistics, including if user click on each grant link. We are adding that, but this is now just version 1.0. So we will like your feedback. But with this, you will be able to create a newsletter. You can use GrantForward to send out this newsletter. You can also simply copy paste. You can simply copy paste the newsletter you have prepared here to your email mechanism. For example, if your university has a distribution system, you can send out the mass email. Maybe it needs to be approved by the office of the provost to approve this mass emailing. You can copy paste this so that it goes through your administration procedure to reach all your faculty. But GrantForward helps you to facilitate, to streamline this process. Okay, great. So now that's my last bullet about dissemination. I talk about a personalized newsletter called recommendation, an official newsletter from your authoritative compilation, multiple series. Okay, so now that's all I want to say today. I want to see if you have questions and the feedback. We have 10 minutes. And I see some question in the text chat. Yes, we will share recording. Can you search the profiles using research keywords? Yes, you can search profiles with research keywords. Okay, so you can search here. For example, I can do machine learning. I can get many researchers whose profile mention machine learning. Okay, you can also search with other such as data. Okay, so how many profiles? 1,000 plus have data. Okay, music, piano, music, unknown instrument. Okay, yes, you can search by keywords. And okay, good question. When you disseminate newsletter from GrantForward, does it reach only registered users, or can you specify a larger user list? Very good question. Currently, your users have to be registered to receive GrantForward. We understand this is a limitation because your newsletter is supposed to reach everyone. That's why I was saying that, well, you could copy and paste the newsletter you have generated. For now, there's a workaround. You can copy and paste the newsletter you have generated to your own emailing mechanism so you can reach everyone. But we are improving on this. We understand that it shouldn't be limited to registered users. So by the end of the summer, you will see that every department, by the end of summer, you will see in the user management, every department will be affiliated, associated with a mail list, such as agriculture, economics. We'll have faculty at agricultureeconomics.illinois.edu. Then you will be able to disseminate to such email list. This is our next step. So you'll be able to disseminate to email lists that are not registered users. It's our next step. Then after that, we will be able to send to everyone as long as their accounts are uploaded to our system, or as long as their names are sent to us. And what I also should mention is that about single sign-on. Many universities have single sign-on, perhaps 80%. If you already have single sign-on, we integrate with that. Then on the first access coming from single sign-on, the account will be automatically created, which means that your user will basically doing no effort to join GrantForward to become a registered user. In that case, they will be pretty easy for the newsletter to reach to everyone, as long as they click on accessing GrantForward through the single sign-on already. Okay, other question? Okay, can multiple versions of newsletter be prepared? Yes, you can prepare as many versions as you like. Okay, so you can also schedule sending time. Okay, so time to publish. You can schedule a time to send. So that, for example, you prepare this week. We are now the second week of May, but you schedule it to be sent on May 15th, the middle of May. Yes, you can do that. How do you find out if your institution has a subscription? If you are in this webinar, chances are your institution has subscription, because we only email to the subscribing institutions. Okay, but you are welcome to check if you log in. If you can log in, yes, then your institution is current. Okay, any more question? Okay, so there is a question about location filter. The question here is that how to filter locations. I'm not sure if you are aware of when you search grants. Okay, so some grants do have location restriction. GrantForward the focus on grants that US institutions can apply. Our sponsors can come from all over the world, but the grants we made sure to be eligible, that can be applied by US institutions. But even that, there could be grants that are restricted to California, to New York City. That's why there are two filters here called applicant location or activity location. Applicant location is the location where you apply from. For example, I'm located in Champaign, Illinois. That's my applicant location. Some grants might be restricted to only applicants from Indiana can apply. Activity location, this is the location where you can perform the activity such as research or community investigation. Okay, so for either of these, you can, so here I click on this map bubble. It knows my home location, so it add Champaign, Illinois. I can add more, say I'm also affiliated with Indiana and Iowa, my neighboring state include. So now I will see only grants that I can search. I can apply from these locations. Okay, you can also do exclusion search. This exclusion is to exclude grants that are only for a specific place. Okay, this is our location filter. And I have to put a caution here that this information sometimes is subtle. It's difficult to extract from the grants about their location is restriction. Sometimes they are not mentioned this in an explicit way. It might be deeply buried in grant description. So we may not be doing a perfect job. I would expect about 85% because we use some automatic algorithm plus human curation. So if you find cases that you have excluded this, but you see a grants that are still, outside of the places you are applying from, then you can just tell us, write email to support@grantforward.com. This will help us to improve our filter and our data extraction. Thank you. How do I convince my faculty to create a profile? This is a very good question. How do I convince my faculty to create a profile? I think you want to do a webinar. Number one, we found that whenever we do a webinar with a university, and we do this for free because we like to talk, we like to give demos. After that, we often see a surge of profiles. People see the magic of being informed about things they care. I think this is the number one motivation. People want to be informed about possible opportunities, even though they are not actively looking for grants. So doing a webinar, or you do a training workshop to tell them the benefit about profile. You can also show them how easy it is to create a profile. It's really just 3 to 5 minutes. It's a URL. It's a upload the CV, okay, or it's simply copy and paste. Show them how easy it is and how much benefit they will receive. They will create a profile. And I think the case here is pretty strong. You don't really need to do too much persuasion, because we have already seen so many researchers have created their own profile. So here for the public profile, already see more than 12,000. Okay, so the default is private. So I would expect 10 times more of this. So it's not hard to convince them if you show them how easy it is and how powerful they are going to be informed about the information they care about. Can you edit the newsletter format to include engagement and event opportunity? For sure, yes, yeah. So let me show you, come to the newsletter. So let me edit this newsletter again. This text here, okay, we are holding a welcome new faculty night at the sponsor program office. This is event. You can add anything, this text. So it's in fact a free form, okay, fully flexible. You can simply insert the grant. This is what we automate for you. And everything else you can customize. Okay, so yes, you can add other engagement event or the pre-solicitation you learned from GrantForward here. Let me see. Can we share the recording? Yes. Okay, I think I have answered all the questions. Okay, excellent. I think we have answered many questions. Okay, so this is a new feature. This newsletter is new feature. Other things have been existing, so it's just a reminder about this new feature. This is we just added in the beginning of May. That's why we get together with all of you. We appreciate your feedback. We continue to improve this to make it easier to use, to really help you in your workflow of grant dissemination. So start using it. If you have any feedback, concrete suggestions, contact us, and you won't be surprised if you see the features you suggested just pop up in the end of summer. Okay, thank you very much. We will post the recording for everyone for reference, as well as the slides. Thank you. You have a great Tuesday and the rest of the week. Thank you. Bye-bye.